Well, good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us this morning. First up, I invite everybody to look at the minutes from last month. If there are any corrections, we can make them now. Otherwise, looking for a motion to approve the minutes.
Actually, there is Matthew, because Caroline didn't make the motion for you to chair and me to vice chair. You did, so I don't know why.
What's that?
Sorry about that. I don't know where.
I'm electing chair and vice chair.
Say here, it says that Caroline did, but Patsy did.
No, I
No,
didn't.
Matthew did.
You did. Not Caroline.
Is that what happened?
Yeah. I typed it as it was going on.
All right, so we have a
Patsy
correction.
initially said, well, I could do it, and then Matthew said, no, I'll do it, and Patsy takes his head.
Is that how it went down?
Yes, it was.
Wow.
That was,
Jeez,
yeah.
power moves. All right, so we got a correction on the
Apparently,
minutes.
it's very important.
I make a motion, we accept it with the correction.
Second.
Is that Patsy made the motion?
No,
Or, no,
he did.
Matthew made it. Okay.
I second the motion approving the minutes.
All right, so we got Nancy in the first and Michelle on a second. All right, we're gonna go on to old business here. So we're gonna talk about these group meetings that happened last month. First item here, do we need to have a chair or lead on these groups? We've got two groups, right? We have the one 7th Avenue, is working on a grand opening, and then the public art group as well.
Yeah, no,
So is there discussion about that? Do we need a chair for these two subgroups?
I just kind of leave that open to see if there was any preference on that, because we kind of split up in groups, but didn't really designate if anyone's going to be the main person for it or not.
Well,
mean-
Michelle pretty much jumped right in with the art, so I guess that handles that part.
But I guess that's my question is, do we formally need to have anyone or do we
There
not?
needs to be some kind of guidance in a meeting, so.
I think there should be like, I mean, since these are relatively informal at this point too, I think it should be like just a lead or go-to or at least a person that is going to kind of take point and also report to this team about what's happening in these meetings outside of this meeting. So on the 7th Avenue side of things, I would elect that I would be that individual to take point on that. I don't think we need to have the structure of a chair and a vice chair for these groups, but I would be happy to take point on that and to report, kind of organize these meetings and report back to y'all. And then.
And Karen and I are fine working together and taking the point in the public art. If everybody's okay with that.
So how do we feel about that? Everybody good with that? Sounds good.
Yep.
Do we need to make a motion for that, Jamie?
I don't necessarily feel like we do unless there's any feelings one way or the other that we do need to have that, and I'll leave that up to.
Just record that we supported that.
So we all say, we all approve?
Yes.
And Matt, if you need any extra help, I'm happy to
Okay.
pitch in where you
Cool.
need it.
All right, so that's good. We've established that. So I'll go right into 7th Avenue. Just fill you all in on what we talked about. So again, this meeting was a small group of people. I'll kind of just let you know what we talked about, what we had a consensus about, which there was consensus, and then kind of what next steps are for 7th Avenue for a grand opening block party. First of all, the consensus is that we want to do it right. We want to do it big, meaning full street closure.
For just 7th Avenue.
Yeah, for that, basically the same closure we have right now. That's just, we've done it before, so we can pull it off again. You're like, oh, I remember this. It was like this for 9 months. So that was a consensus that we want to do something thorough, proper, well-planned, timeline. We're looking at like the end of April. There was, initially, the idea was maybe the week before farmer's market starts, this would be a Saturday event. And then there was some discussion about, hey, could we tie this in with the opening of farmer's market? Because the timelines, we were thinking about doing like a 1 to 6 kind of timeline. So this would coincide with market ending. So.
It's like after the market.
Yeah,
Okay.
after the market. So then I thought, well, you know what if we do it the first Saturday in May and we kind of tie it into the market shuts down at 1 o'clock and then the street party starts at 1 o'clock. So that was one idea. But either like, we're looking at like that last week of April or the first week of May to coincide with the opening of the farmer's market. If it's too disruptive with the farmer's market, then I think we should do it the last week of April. But if we can tie it in with the opening of the market, I think that might be a really good idea. So the idea is that we want to have something thorough. What does that mean? It means a proper block party. So live music, beer and wine. So that's, as far as the consensus, that's the kind of event that we kind of foresee happening. And then next steps, so that would be a Saturday event, 1 to 5, 1 to 6, something like that. Definitely live music, a beer and wine tent, maybe food vendors, maybe not food vendors. That needs to be discussed some more. And then, so next steps would be to basically reach out to every stakeholder in the district and get them aware that we are forming a planning committee for this and offer it up to everybody in the district. Because there's people, obviously this meeting was put together pretty quickly. And we want to have everybody, at least give everybody the option to get involved because this is our district, our party. So anybody that has business down there or owns property down there should be at least invited to attend in the planning. So that would be the next step for us. And then also logistics. Now working with the city on logistics, like, do we have power for live music on 7th Avenue? You know, obviously logistics, we're working with friends as far as permits, you know, beer and wine thing, you know, just starting to get into the nuts and bolts of how, since we've never done a proper street closure city event on 7th Avenue. And then, of course, talking about funding, like, you know, where the dollars are gonna come from for this, and who's gonna be kind of in charge of what. So, but what we established was a consensus among a small group of individuals that we want to do something big, proper, well-planned, and we want to bring everybody into the fold, or at least offer it to everybody.
Okay.
And then Matthew, remember, we brought up soft opening, maybe December, which would
We
be
did.
a little more individual businesses
Right, so
doing their own.
let's just say streets reopened in December, and perhaps in coordination with the December farmer's market, doing something that day that would be kind of organized amongst business owners, and just kind of do like a, you know, obviously not a street closure at that point, but some type of soft opening, you know, where we have.
Are we
maybe
gonna
some-
do a ribbon cutting? Was the city gonna do something like that?
We like the largest pair of scissors you've ever seen.
Say that.
I guess that's probably something that we'll want to think about.
Yeah,
If we
that would-
ever do it during the block party or during the soft opening. Typically, for like the chamber ribbon cuttings, they get a better turnout on the weekdays when they have those. It's, but for this, it might be better to do it during like the bigger block party thing, to have like, as far as photo op wise, a big huge crowd and all that kind of stuff. But
Right.
I think that might be something to think about. Either way could work, but I could see it probably being a bigger crowd and more excitement if it was during the block party event for that.
I think for that, it's just, let's just say the streets open and it's done. December, that's the first December, and that's the first Saturday in December. I think we could probably internally pull off something a little.
Oh, yeah, and with all of the market,
It's just marketing, our own marketing, or, you know, do something, push something out onto the sidewalks if appropriate. Or, you know, maybe have some type of, you know, smaller ribbon cutting or something like that. I mean, that street reopening is a big deal.
yeah, and we can definitely tie all that in with the farmer's market promotion and
Yeah.
stuff.
I think that was like, it was really Phil's idea to tie in the big party with the farmer's market, because
Yeah.
the farmer's market has been such like a huge part of 7th Avenue. It really has. And
Yeah, and
so,
let's hear Duncan in a second, see what she thinks. But I kind of think like, we're also already there.
right,
There's a lot of groups of people already there on that Saturday, which I think is a plus. The week before, I'll let Terry chime in on what you think, but it
Yeah.
seems like the planning for it and getting it all together for a big day on one day versus trying to wrangle 2 days in a row, I would think that the farmer's market day and leading into a party after would probably be better, because there's always a bunch of people there.
Yeah.
On opening day more than anything.
Yeah,
What about if you do that, I mean, the vendors that are at the farmer's market, the ones, I mean, because there might be some of them that want to stay through that party kind of atmosphere. Have them towards the very end of Seventh Avenue and Maple Street so that they could stay set up there. And then you could just have the block where the depot is, you know, still blocked off.
Yeah, we'll have to think on the logistics of setting up and breaking down for that. So I'm not sure. I think we probably can.
Sure, you wouldn't have too many of them, but just if they were kind of down in that area and had the opportunity to.
I think if we separate it
Yeah,
just for that day with craft vendors
Yeah.
on that
Mhm.
end and everyone else on the other end,
Yeah.
and we would be able to do a loadout that way.
yeah, because right now they're already used to
Yeah.
turning around, so I
Mhm.
think we probably.
So just for that one, change it for the, yeah, and I think they probably would,
Yeah, the craft
yeah.
vendors especially, I would think.
It would probably be nice to have the street back for parking for people that want to. Grand opening of Seventh Avenue though.
Yeah, we'll have to think on the logistics for that. Bill, were you about to say something?
Something else after this, yeah.
And I'll say that if you want to consider it, Matt, Steve could probably get, Cat Williams, who's a very well-known African-American jazz blues singer. She's on our board. She sells out everywhere and she performed at Juneteenth. And, we could probably get a very good rate on, you know, her singing.
Yeah.
And she brings in a whole different, diverse audience and she's amazing.
yeah,
We could probably, you know, as part of a feature, if you'd like.
right. Well, that sounds, I mean, I think, you know, what we're wanting to accomplish here is something like taking over the street, a block party, a proper block party. And since it's an afternoon, early evening event, having, you know, whether it's vendors or musicians that are more, diversity, the whole beer wine thing. So think, Rhythm and Brews, obviously on a much smaller scale, but that kind of like early, I don't know what I'm trying to say, like just a proper block party. I mean, a celebration, you know what I mean? It is. It's a celebration. So if there are, I love the idea. If there are vendors with the farmer's market that wanna be included in that, or we can, work that would be awesome.
I think at that time, the farmer's market is just getting started.
Yeah.
Or there aren't a robust number of
Right,
vendors because nothing's in.
On opening day,
Oh,
it's the busiest
jam-packed.
day of the year, but.
Yeah.
We'll do this year.
Packed.
yeah,
I guarantee you, opening day. Yeah, the place is gonna be packed.
Yeah, it's always the
I know.
the opening day and tomato day are the two
Yeah.
biggest days.
We can also use the funds too.
Yeah.
like Within that to,
Yeah,
for vendors.
yeah,
that
and
work.
logistically wise, and Terry chime in too, but this feels doable for us to be able to help, because it's nothing that dissimilar to Rhythm and Brews.
yeah.
Right.
What do you think, Terry?
I really envision kind of just for that day, kind of including the plaza, area of that and for the craft vendors. The farmers will not want to stay, but just kind of doing a different pattern, keeping that whole like corner.
Yeah, we probably just
there.
close it to like the caboose and then leave the
Yeah.
rest for parking.
Yeah, and then just have the other ones, because they're used to, just like you said, we're doing that loadout diagram anyway right now, so to do that one more time is not a big deal, and I think restructure that where the craft vendors can stay, I think would be great.
I mean, I'm kind of, you guys chime in here, but I'm kind of picturing like a center stage. I don't know if that's doable, but actually having like, somewhere in the middle of the darn street, an actual stage set up where we have maybe a couple different musicians. Like,
Isn't there a vacant storefront next to Claywood? I mean, maybe it could be
Yeah.
positioned right in front of that or something. Closer.
Where the Harper's office is, unless he gets something in there between now and then, that would be a good, because it's got
Yeah, there, I think there's plenty of space there to set up a bandstand.
Yeah, or even on Locust Street.
I think it would be wise to also ask Melinda Lawrence, our Black City Councilwoman, who's very involved in that community, just to have perhaps an input or an idea on that. She brings a lot of interest, and she's put on Juneteenth, loads of events there.
Yeah,
She'd just be a good person to have.
okay. What's your name again?
Melinda Lawrence, Lowrance, and I have her information.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so I mean, I guess the next step for us would be to, Call.
Maybe the next step up is for them to decide if the date works, but then, yeah, we need to get a bigger group together too.
So we need to explore funding.
we need to, the next step is to work with the city
Yeah,
on this
one
stuff.
thing that we might can do is just build it into our sponsor asks for Rhythm and Brews. Possibly to, I probably wouldn't be all of them. I don't know. What do you think on that? Or have separate sponsorship? Or-
Probably separate,
Oh, okay.
think.
I'll let y'all carry on.
Yeah.
Let her think on that.
About that for a minute as to how that
It's
would,
more or less
What's-
to bring a stage in the size, we'll have some money we can put towards it from the Friends, but to bring in a stage like the Rhythm and Brew size, it's about $5,000.
5,000.
You know, you can play just music loudly, which, because even before we have a live band at Rhythm and Brews, the street sounds festive and fun with just recorded music played. I mean, I know that you might get some singers, but to save on that, playing loud, fun music, it would save money on that. And the city could then, which I firmly think the city should find some money to help pay for this since it's
Yeah,
closed again.
Yeah, I'm not saying we're not having money. I'm just saying that we just
I know.
know what we want and then kind of work from there to figure out how to pay for it.
Honestly, that's not the way I want to open the gates
What, have Rhythm and Brews kind of thing?
with recorded music.
Oh, yeah, you're gonna want a band.
Yeah. And I don't think
I
you,
do think, that stage
Just
is
smaller.
way overkill.
Yeah.
We,
I was-
we don't need a $5,000.
what I was just gonna say is
Yeah.
you can do a much smaller
Yeah.
Yeah,
stage with not as much going on. And I think it would be, I do believe you need the sound and the sound guy and all that, but they can do a much smaller footprint. They could even do almost something maybe a little bit bigger than, you know, the one that I do one for holiday events.
oh, yeah.
But they build that stage to whatever size you want it to be. They still have the sound, they still have everything. It's not as high. They can make it a little bit higher, but they can make it as wide as you want it or need it, and they can build it to whatever you want. But it's not the huge, trailer stage, it's just a regular stage.
Yeah,
And I think that would be great, but you definitely do want the sound guy because that makes a big difference.
it's not a nighttime event, so we don't have to have lighting,
Yeah.
No, you don't have to have any of that. I
The-
think if
the
you
sound and
did,
The stage could probably do
Yeah.
that for about $3,000. I'd say,
yeah, I feel like
Like
that stage would be.
probably just getting for like have Terry on for the next one and probably all three of us. So Dakota can
Yeah.
chime in on the farmer's market too.
Mhm.
And then kind of figure out what it is we want, and then we can figure out paying for it.
Yeah, so we're all.
I think we, yeah,
There was some talk about like, who's gonna pay for all
oh
this?
yeah, we got it.
Friends is gonna pay for
Yeah,
it, right?
yeah.
So this will be a city sponsored event.
Yeah.
Well, Friends is
Yeah.
nonprofit, it's
Yeah,
not the city's money, or I guess they get grants and stuff.
no, there's actually money to city sometimes depending on what's more, but we've got money to be able to.
Yeah, so that's, it's not like we're gonna. blow
Well, I just didn't want the
$50,000
the store owners to have to, like, you
No,
have.
no, no.
Fundraiser.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Strollers just need to have their money to prep their stores to be ready to.
What we would love to see and love to plan is something along the quality lines of Rhythm and Brews, obviously scaled down.
Daytime.
They, to a daytime event for Seventh Avenue, but still like a proper block party. I want to see people in the street, you know?
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I feel like
We'll
that's
scale down
doable.
and totally do it. I'm gonna think about, the right sponsors and really good sponsors for that. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a doable thing.
I assume you wouldn't want sponsors, like another bakery to sponsor when, yeah, the same business.
No, it would be
on Main Street.
Like how we get Horizon.
Sponsorships, I would never do that.
Yeah,
There are a lot of bands that are combos that play at the farmer's market. Maybe we could even enlist some of them because people have known them. And the music is always wonderful.
Yeah. So again, tying in with the city's resources, I mean, this
Yeah.
is, it's
Yeah.
not all on us to fix, you know, it's more like we have an idea.
yeah, y'all kind of come up with outlines for it and then work together with us to figure out.
And then obviously the beer and wine thing, I think we're in agreement about that. So that's how that works.
Yeah, we can pull a permit for it, just like how we did with the breweries. Probably, I would assume you probably like ask Guidon and Southern App.
Mhm.
And because you wouldn't want to have the amount of breweries, I think probably just those two.
Just, I think those two would be appropriate.
No, guy done and.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and then pull in some wine from.
Yep.
Either a local winery or distributor, either one for that, just to have that as a second option.
Mhm.
I think that's doable for you.
Question a little bit off
Mhm.
kilter here. So they complete in December, early December supposedly, what they're telling us.
Better.
Yeah.
Is the city set up currently to provide Christmas decorations for the new 7th?
Not for this December, but we have it planned for getting into it for future years. And that's like the power and everything is,
So there won't be any Christmas la la la.
there's not any in the current lighting contract for it, but if like, I would say that there is probably some ways, like if we're getting closer into December and it's like looking good, we can throw something in with either our lighting people or just kind of with Public Works to put either like a tree, a depot. The depot does have the lights on it. But so if that's something that y'all kind of want to be thinking about, we can figure out a way to at least have some for this season for
We
open.
have, we have the wreaths, right? We still have the wreaths. We've used those for several years now.
We put them on 7th, yeah. So those,
Yeah, the wreaths with the red bows.
yeah, I know they'll be going, yeah, we put them up on.
It's something. It's something.
It's definitely
Yeah.
not,
I mean, yeah, lighting would be great, but obviously that's not in the works, but I mean, something decorative on the new light posts would be.
Yeah, so we've got
Something, yeah.
Okay,
Those will do it.
yeah, well, so we'll have what we currently have, and then we probably work with Lowe's on getting some extra,
Yeah.
like, so that way it's like
Yeah.
when we know and we want to add more, because there won't be lights planned currently for it for this year. But I'm glad you brought that up, Bill, because that's,
Can we include some of the other activities for Seventh Avenue if we do have that soft opening, like the people walking around?
Like the haunted tours and stuff like that.
Oh, like, you mean kind of like old fashioned?
I mean, even Santa could come and drive down there and then go and turn onto Main Street. We could even do that.
for the 6th will be the night of the Christmas parade.
And will it be done?
Yeah, and so that'll just be something it would probably be better to plan for something, if in December that like have this as a soft opening, but if there was going to be other holiday things, plan for something a week or two later in December, if stores are going to be open for that, just because with the parade going on.
But it's,
City boards.
but we can include, so it looks like one continuous thing, that would be good.
I can tell you, like, you know, there's been a lot of talk lately and, I am fully preparing on December 1st is in my mind. So that means that for those of us that have shops on Seventh Avenue, December is going to be an essential month for us. We are going to promote the hell out of December and getting people down there because we get December, then we go right into another winter cycle. So December is really important. So we want to promote and what we're going to do as much stuff as possible. Seventh Avenue through our own marketing and cross marketing with other businesses to really get people excited about.
And years ago on Main Street, we did do the Christmas window decorating where we had the competition for Christmas window. So
TDA. still
that
does
makes a
that.
huge, they do, I think they do still do
Oh,
that.
and they're also doing a lot more on
That can,
on the peppermint bear.
yes, that can.
And so we can make sure, because they're adding more to that, and it's become like a big to do, this peppermint bear hunt. And I don't know if they've just done it on Main Street or not, but I can make sure to talk to them about. Because that's kind of been their own thing, but they were just talking the other day about boosting that up, so I can.
Mhm.
Maybe you can get some of those like candy cane fencing to go where people could walk from Main Street, down Fifth over to Seventh or something. To
And
encourage,
unify the.
yeah, to tie them together.
Well, I like the window display idea too, because that brings, first of all, we have a lot of windows. Some are vacant, most of them are not, but we have a lot of windows. And guess what? There's an opportunity for lighting there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the
So-
thing, as I was thinking lighting, because I used to do a giant lighting extravaganza at Django, where I lit the whole building and people would actually do their buildings and outline their buildings and
Yeah.
lights.
I
And
remember that.
it was a big deal.
Yeah, so I
So
think the
that would
window,
be-
just because we've got so many places like y'all that are not open later. Compared to other ones that are open later, like Main Street's kind of more concentrated, people open later during the holiday time, so having like lighted window displays, I think will
Yeah.
make a big
Mhm.
difference during the holiday time.
Is there an outlet near the Seventh Avenue sign in that little area there?
There's power there,
Yeah.
so I don't, but
You got like Christmas lights around that or something, but I don't know if there's
Yeah.
a plug in.
I'll ask.
And that would be with having live music what are our power? Do we have any power on Seventh Avenue?
Yeah, they built it in for
There's,
being able to do.
there's actual outlets? Or there's the ability to add like boxes and stuff like that,
I
or?
know that they've built it in to add power to specific locations for events, and so I'm assuming that it's gonna have,
They're probably stubbed up like in the planner or something like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
New lights themselves don't have outlets on the light, like at the base of the fixture,
Poles.
the new poles, the new light poles.
no, because that's due, so they won't.
Yeah.
But the light,
No, I've seen some of like the new light poles that actually have like a base receptacle on the pole itself.
as far, so the street lights or the
Yeah,
power lights,
The street lights.
I'm not sure, but I.
City
can
lights.
See there.
Yeah, we just need to know where the power access is.
For layout for the event.
Up and down
Yeah.
the street, and
I know that we've talked about that.
there should be a weather box up by the sign. Aaron mentioned.
Yeah, I know there's power there. I'm just not sure where all the specific outlets are. Okay, well, this is exciting. I think is it going to be called just Seventh Avenue Grand Opening Block Party, or are you still kind of workshopping some names or?
We did not workshop names.
Sounds fine.
Next meeting,
Yeah, I think it's Seventh Avenue, something block party. I mean, yeah, I think that's the spirit and that should be the name of the event, that it is a proper
Okay.
block party. This is for us. This is for our community.
Believe be an ongoing thing.
This is a celebration. Yeah, this is
Yeah.
and
if it goes well, like logistically, I could see it not being terribly difficult to add it on to a couple other farmers markets during the year, like to make a day or something like that, to have like Seventh Avenue block parties, like extend the farmer's market into a bigger day kind of thing, since, so that might be something that.
I can call it Celebrate Seventh Avenue.
Yeah.
Says it all.
Anything else on that? Oh, well, thank y'all. That's great. All right. Public art.
Public art, well, we're not as fun as the discussion Jeff was. But it is exciting that, we're getting things down and trying to get things scheduled. So myself and Karen, Eve and Jamie kind of got together, to just get a little bit of an idea of what we want the pace to be. We want everybody to know that right now, we've got a lot of work to do to just get a policy and guidelines set up. It's not about where we're gonna put the art, who's gonna do it, what kind of art. That's down the road a little bit. We really need to concentrate on this. We haven't been able to get a meeting prior to because of schedules, but we have one scheduled for September 10th at 9:30 here. You've got this room reserved for us, Jamie.
Sorry.
But we just kind of wanted to at least get an idea. We don't want to be going down the road that isn't going to be well received by the city council or anything like that. So we wanted to get some guidelines, and that's really why we met first, to find out, you know, who we need to talk to, how this is all going to play out. We talked to Matthew and Patsy and let them know, you know, where Karen and I were seeing us going and where that process was going to go. So we're gonna go and talk with Jeff Miller, who is the liaison between the council and the community character meetings. And so we want to do that. We want to talk to John Connick. He's worked in, I forget.
So you said September 10th at 9 a.m.
9:30.
9:30, okay.
John Connick was involved in a public art program in his last community. Clayton, thank you.
Sorry, I was wrong.
Okay. So we kind of wanted to see his feelings there because we just don't want to be working on a total guidelines and then present it and then it's totally off belt of what they even are thinking about where we want to go. So that's why we had the first meeting. And then we'll bring it back to, you know, the community character meeting, the guidelines. I know Patsy's been doing some research for us on Bavard's guidelines, and I know Karen Eve has done a considerable amount of research in years of different kinds of art programs and murals and things like that. This will only be, excuse me, this will only be public spaces, doesn't have anything to do with the private spaces, but when we get to that, I mean, it'll kind of follow into those, some of those lines. And then we'll bring the final policy and to the community character and see if they feel like anything needs to be revised or if they have any other additional input as we go along the way. So like I said, we are looking for some volunteers. I think if everybody in this room did get the email from me about getting together on September 10th, if you didn't, let me know.
But Patsy, you said that you weren't available on that day. Mhm. We won't want to.
I'm way out of town.
Well, you already have a list of people for the public art committee, so it doesn't matter.
Coming. Oh, did I send it?
What?
Did I send that to you on the public art meeting?
I'll be far, far away.
I know, but.
So did you
No,
mean
I'm
for
not-
everybody in here?
No, just the people that had,
Yeah.
I think I had 6 names.
Okay.
Yeah, we
That
had.
I had sent the email to. I don't have my names right here. That I had sent the email to and just, you know, I sent an email letting them know when the meeting was for our schedules. You know, I had asked for dates and time or times that might work. So we came up with that for what that was. But what we're really trying to find too is some other people that might have some good experience in other communities with art projects and things like that, that can come onto the committee. Maybe somebody that's really had a lot to do with maybe the maintenance of these art programs, or somebody that might have been involved with rotating art programs. But some, you know, so if you know anybody or been in contact with anybody around town that has those kind of skills, Karen, Eve, or myself would be happy to talk to them and ask them if they would like to be part of the committee, because they would have a lot to give once we exactly get down to the nuts and bolts of it.
Can I say something, Michelle? I mean, you don't need to create a new wheel, because.
No, that's why we don't want to. That's why, yeah, no.
The last statement you made about, maintenance of it and all that, it isn't necessarily something that is a concern, but the statement you put here about, I don't think anybody assumed that public art policy has anything to do at this point with what we're gonna choose for where we're gonna choose it. It has to do with how a city goes about encouraging public art. And there are so many policies already out there that you really, this shouldn't take, I would think, as long as.
No, you're exactly right.
We do not want to reinvent
No,
that.
I have liaised with Philadelphia, Transylvania County, loads of places that have boilerplates. But I mean, the important thing is this is a working committee to come up with the guidelines. It is not a review committee.
No, that's
So-
totally separate. And a lot of people might not want to be on.
Exactly.
Right, because that's can always be controversial, but the city already, if it's in public space and it's public art, probably already has a way to deal with it or try to deal with it.
have anything.
That's.
And probably the second or third step after getting the guidelines and policies and getting it approved, will be having a city, whatever, appointed review committee.
Mhm.
So this is a roll your sleeves up, review guidelines, we put things together, we're not gonna start from scratch.
Yeah,
I've talked to several people who've created them and they've given us guidelines, a bit like you looked into, Patsy. And
I have a friend too that did a lot with Charlotte, if you want information from her, so. But yeah.
It's good to hear from people who've done it and like,
Right.
what went wrong. And
That's,
everything.
yeah, that's why we're saying, if you know anybody that is, that's who we want to talk to, so that we don't have to go down some of those roads.
Well, make
And
no
take their
mistake, whenever
experience.
you decide somebody's not, just like the parking garage, somebody's not gonna like it, but.
Yeah.
It's happening.
The main thing is one, when, just like it's happened to the board and stuff before, is when somebody comes with an idea on public art, how that's directed. And then two is, how this committee or whichever committee is proactive on next steps in like real quality types of
Right.
art in public place.
Yeah, and I think it's important to bring the public in like we have in the past with some of our pieces. A lot of people forget that we brought all of the parking garage to the public. We brought all of the mountain to the public, and then everybody complained about it afterwards. But we made many meetings and many opportunities for the public to be involved in that and set up meetings for them to see what we were thinking of. And we actually had 3 different things that we voted on when we brought the fountain. And, so people forget that they actually had an opportunity to vote and they had an opportunity to see some of the things that the city was doing. It wasn't that we just decided this is
Yeah, and that's-
exactly what we're gonna do.
One thing, kind of as a lesson learned from the fountain, because I've gone back and read all of the, how that all came about from years and years ago is, yes, getting feedback, but also in the policy, having a clear, these are the people who know what they're talking about with art, having some final say, so it's not like the design by committee kind of thing, because I think that's what happened with Fountain is what's my understanding
well, we
is.
all know it's easy to criticize and veto.
Yeah.
It's a lot harder to roll up your sleeves, create.
And luckily, we have a lot of cities that have good art programs that we can look at and see. I mean, Chattanooga has a really great one, and so does Detroit, so. And, Karen Eve's done much, and Patsy brought Bavard. No, we do not want to start by scratch. But I think if we take a look at this and see how they would go towards our city, then we can come up with something collectively from these other people and programs that'll work for us. So that it won't take us forever to do that, but. So that's where we are right now, and we'll have more to bring to you after our meeting. I know that wasn't quite as fun. But it's important. We all want it.
Yeah,
We've been wanting it for a long time.
that's needed. Is there any other? Anything else anyone wants to say about public art?
The public art policy you know, I think the scary thing is that people will hear it's like, or think of it as like being restrictive, or like, here's a list of things you can't do, and here's the things, you know, you fit in this box or something, but what's our goal with it? It should just be trying to streamline the process when somebody wants to put art out of there.
Right.
Here's how you go about it.
Kind of like, the facade grant, you know, these are the guidelines, this is submission form, these are where you have to.
Except this would be for specifically on public space.
Right.
Too. Yeah, like the fountain and like, so how we plan for it for in the public space. And then I think going on from there, we'll want to look on how to encourage it on private space, like the murals and stuff. But I think for this, we really need to focus on that public space side of things.
And that should kind of save us time, right? It should streamline some part of
Right.
it, skip a few steps.
Yeah, and then like, I would think that a longer term next step would be this committee or whatever committee, of like planning for where it goes, like next from like, what kind of sculpture do we want to have on 7th Avenue or replacing the fountain or whatever.
Yeah, after the public policy is established, then, like, for instance, I'm on a committee down in South Carolina where they know they want to put 5 bronzes in public areas of native animals.
Yeah.
like Deer.
Yeah.
Or something like that, or fox or whatever. But that's way down the road. But the other part of the public policy is how, if we then establish a committee, whoever volunteers to be looking at submitted art project, also how the city manages to make sure that when it's all said and done, the artist does their art, but also follows the guidelines, which we had a problem with, you know, it was sidewalk art, but, you know, the person didn't at all realize they completely didn't follow any.
And also to respond to your question, it was probably last September or sometime last year. We talked about this and got a lot of feedback, and I kept all those notes about what we do want. And that is to have a streamlined process to encourage creativity, to encourage applications, to open it up, exactly as you're saying, not to restrict it, but just to have a clear process.
And I can also send out 1 or 2 of the policies and guidelines that several of the other towns that we've really looked into. So that you could kind of see before the meeting, just like what that looks like and what you think maybe might be working and not, kind of a little homework.
Yeah, I think maybe this, after this, between the first and second meeting, we'll do that, because I mean, this does involve like reviewing policies and guidelines and picking out the best.
I suspect that, and Karen, you've seen many of these policies, the way they're structured and so forth. I would suspect that a small policy for Brevard,
Yeah, it's very.
for instance, is very different than a policy for
Sharp. Or Philadelphia, yeah,
or even Greenville.
yeah. I think.
So, you know,
We might be somewhere in the middle.
Well, it might be helpful to assign one city's policy to one person to review and then come back with notes so not one person has to do all.
we
Let
want,
it be the
we want to be in the right place, you know, so
The
that.
right size city, sure.
Yes.
And I think that's one of the things we probably talk about next week. I mean, next week will be a whole discussion. I don't think we'll actually move to action later, but if you can't be here, you can certainly share, you know, what, like your thoughts still, we would bring that up. Because you're right, there's no reason to look at Philadelphia's policy, but Bard's is very applicable. A few other small cities that do it well is applicable. Those sorts of things. You're right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have much to say on this, but you hear me talking for years about like Hendersonville coming into its own as far as the quality of the experience in Hendersonville, whether you live here or you're traveling here. And I think that should apply to public art as well, that, you know, what we're doing, what we're putting out there is reflective of the quality standards that our communities established, you know, that people are getting a better experience when they come to our town versus maybe other towns. And that's part of the draw, part of our new reputation, going from quaint, you know, and like to like actually substance and quality and value and I think that should be definitely shown in our public art as well, so.
Yeah, I think that as a city, we have a higher standard. We will have a higher standard than maybe a lot of other places. This weekend, and Karen happened to attend this weekend and saw the crowds that we had. The interesting thing was what a large percentage, and they weren't here for Apple Fest. In for Art and Bloom, they came in from South Carolina, they came in from Georgia, they came in from Boston
For that, for specifically?
for the show.
It's a
And
great show. It's a great show.
Yeah.
It's always been a great show. It's very
And-
good this year, very good.
yeah, so I mean, there's an expectation from outside that they come in here for fine art. Really good example of what Western North Carolina can produce.
Mhm.
And so, you know, I think our policy may want to have a little more oomph to it than even, God love them, and I do, Brevard, right? But to give us that room for growth.
Yeah.
Because we are a little, we're bigger. We've got, you know, more events and so forth, and a lot more tourist traffic and so forth. So I just think that needs to be considered going forward.
In a lot of places, their public art policies also include, I know I'm saying it's a public space, but some of them include like when there's new construction projects, like hotels that have to have some type of public art pieces there. So that might be something that eventually is involved with like planning board and stuff like that. And sometimes they have like a designated city, but like a percentage of something that goes specifically towards public art. So that might be a whole variety of things to really give that elevated level of stuff.
And by the way, my name's attached to Brevard. The only reason Brevard came up was when you Google public art policies, it knows that I'm close.
No.
I didn't pick Brevard, it just came up and I just threw out there that there's plenty of pre-existing.
But it's like, we need that example as well.
Right.
And I, you know,
Yeah, the policy would be great if it could include in there a funding source, which would be every time there's a new startup or something.
Yeah, like a
half of
fees or
1% or whatever goes
Yeah.
into an art fund.
And likewise, the preservation of existing public art. Because we're about to lose a couple of beautiful murals. They're not public art, but we're gonna lose them because the building's been sold. And then whatever can happen. So, you know, that's a shame, but it would be great. It's both the creation and preservation.
Yeah, and every kind of art we have, like mural art makes us a mural city or whatever, and bee city, tree city, sculpture city or whatever, you know, anything to bring in.
Yeah, cool. Well, this is great. Anything else?
On that or old business?
I guess to wrap up, anything else on public art? Yes, okay. Old business or other business?
I have a quick thing sort of on other business, which is in the past, I have brought up the fact that we've been requested, Steve has been asked a couple of times to reproduce some of the murals we've made because we have the rights to do that into banners, large banners. They've got 10 banners so we can extend public art. And this committee had supported that. And so I do have a meeting with Lou to look at how we can alter the zoning so that those banners can be up because a number of places, including, this isn't downtown, but including the chief of staff at Pardee is asked about that. So, you know, it's growing interest in having more art, which is great. And then, Andrea, if you just pass those around, and I'm going to leave some of these for everyone. So I have mentioned in the past that Steve was doing a Hendo audio tour of murals in Hendersonville. It is out. We released it on Friday for the Apple Festival, so just send those all around.
I think.
And then if anyone wants to take these for your businesses, please, please do. Some of these murals and public art are they're all in Hendersonville and in the historic Seventh Avenue District. There's only 2 that are further out. There's 3 tours. You can get this anywhere that you get podcasts, so that means they're free to anyone who has a phone that can get them. So pass those out too. The tour, they're about 5 or 6 minutes that give a description of what the mural is, et cetera. This is part of our Steep's mission, but also part of what the subcommittee wanted when you said you wanted more storytelling. Well, murals are the storytelling, and so are the stories from the artists. So I mean, there's 15 or 16 murals here, and that is not everything. Our goal is to cover all the public art in this area, but this is TDA sponsored this. And we're gonna be producing more of these. Please take them and put them out in your businesses.
I've got a question.
Yeah, I mean, you can pick up more. And then just one other thing, then there is a larger storytelling, a longer podcast. I think enough of those to go out. Oh, you did the large ones? Yeah. Okay, so I can get more of any of these, but this is gonna bring business into your areas. But this is something to just get more people out. And to our knowledge, this is the first audio-free public art tour in the Southeast. I mean, the guy from LA who did this did a lot of research for us.
I've got a question. Do you have signs at the murals? You can download them.
Yep, there is a QR code on every mural.
Good. There is everything.
Well, so if they're not on there, they've been ordered and going on there.
Okay.
But you can see the QR code that's on here. So this will take you to the different to the different ones. So I can get more of these. This is gonna be a great thing to put out in your businesses. It's gonna bring people to Hendersonville and to your area.
We still need one of those, some kind of selfie mural downtown or on Seventh Avenue where it says Seventh Avenue or downtown, but it has wings or bee wings or, you know, that.
The City of Four Seasons mural has that. But it is on, sadly, it had to be moved for a lot of construction reasons. It's on the corner of Allen and King Street. And there is a place you can stand that says downtown, Seventh Avenue and all of that. And the whole idea is that hopefully with these QR codes, people will be taking more pictures and.
Are you talking about this one up here?
Well, yeah, there is a place right by the bear. But yes, we need a more obvious, we needed a more obvious one. And then the storytelling, shall I talk about that, the proposal, Jamie?
You can talk about
Yeah, so quickly, in the goals that the subcommittee had earlier this year, when we first reformed that, was to have more storytelling. Well, this is storytelling, but also Steve has a proposal to make. You have to actually make a decision today because there is a grant due. And this is what the only decision that has to be made is would you support this project if funded? So for 10 years, we have put on a storytelling festival. I mean, in the beginning, it was at the old courthouse. Sometimes we had 1,000 people, sometimes 500 people, blah, 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 blah. It's gone up and down, it's moved around. We're proposing that this year, rather than having a day's festival, we have 5 events, 5 evenings. Let's say, I'm just going to use this as a made-up example, that in Claywood separate room, in the Brandy Bar separate room, in various places, maybe at Art Mob, we, with the grant, provide you with a professional storyteller. And we're talking about stories for grownups, which is different than adult storytelling, just so you know. Stories for grownups. So it's meant for adults. And we would provide that to individual stores or places that have a separate space or are willing to have the event just for that storytelling. I'm explaining that because nobody wants to perform in a bar where 50% of the people came to talk and drink and ignore the performer. That's lousy for everybody. But let's say if Michelle or Phil said, well, we'll have an evening from 6 to 8 for storytelling in our gallery. You have some chairs, you offer some refreshments, and we give you a storyteller. I mean, the Brandy Bar on a regular basis hires me or Ronnie Pepper, they fill it up. We do this in other places. It could be, you know, the Hendersonville Historic storytelling, whatever we name it. It has to use the word do tell in it. It could be, you know, 5 Fridays, 5 Thursdays, January through May. Why those dates? That's when the Arts Council grant is applicable. It has to be done by May 31st. I have to do a grant by September 16th. So if you like the idea of this, all I am asking is if I may say that this committee supports the concept. And then if we get the grant, we'd go to phase 2 of talking to probably 5 businesses that wanted to host.
I
The
make a
stories-
motion that we.
I was gonna say, do we need a motion? Can you make motions when it's brand new business? Can you say you support it? I mean,
We can make a motion or we can say we support it, either, like, we can. make a
Either
motion
way.
for business.
Let's just do a motion.
Yeah.
Let's just make a motion. So we got a first from Phil. We have a second.
Second.
Second from Michelle.
Well, thank you. Hopefully we'll get it and I'll come back and
are they gonna tell stories about just the area or?
that will all be determined.
Is it January through May 2025 or 2026?
2025 is when the grant.
I don't know if you've been to any of her events, but the storytelling is amazing. I mean, there are very professional, engaging, entertaining.
Professors, performers.
Say, in general, anything that can ever be done from January to May, like.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, thank you. I think that'll be great.
Is there anything else on other business or business?
One quick question about just circling around again, just because wheels are turning here for sponsorships. For the grand open. I just want to kind of get a general idea of what the ask would be. So I know the stage, the sound, the bands,
It's not advertising, marketing.
advertising, okay.
You bring in wine and beer.
Volunteers.
No.
I mean, for the whole.
Money wise.
About what do you mean?
I'm trying to think about what a bigger, like what the bigger
I think
thing.
the main thing is the stage,
The stage.
which is, that's the most visible.
Yeah.
The stage and setup for live music.
I could get some banners.
So stage, sound and bands.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Then that way it could just be a banner that's on the stage that has.
Banner.
Banner, yeah.
Okay, so those are the 3 main things.
Porta potties.
Cover.
Yeah, for the potties. Marketing, yeah.
Just so I can get a general idea of what the ask is gonna be for us and who,
Yeah.
so I can know who the best person.
And garbage collection, like to do it.
Yeah, but what would like, we're not gonna put sponsors on like. post porta potties.
Yeah, what, like,
Yeah, right.
so it would just be a stage sponsorship, basically.
I think, yeah, cause I would keep it as a fairly small sponsorship since it's like a 1-day thing. It's not gonna be like a Rhythm and Brews sponsorship, but if we can get some extra coverage to help cover the cost of the stage
Yeah,
and stuff. then
although, you know,
Take it.
maybe we could make it an annual thing. So when you're presenting to the sponsors,
That would be cool.
This had-
And just trying to get a feel for what the right price to come in at on that and if it's an annual thing.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, all right. Okay, that just helps me put it all together for.
My apologies, I am.
Is there anything else for today?
And along that line, though, I do really like, I've been talking, we've all been talking a lot about diversity and especially applying to Seventh Avenue. There's an opportunity here to promote, really genuinely promote diversity in that district. So from a musical standpoint, having like 3 very different musical artists, I really like that. Instead of having like, it's like
Yeah.
this and this, you know what I mean? So like having some,
African American.
absolutely, 100%, yeah.
And if you're doing 1 to 6, you got plenty of time
Yeah.
to do all the bands you
That's
want.
daytime, we wouldn't like. The cost for bands won't be like
Right.
Yeah.
super crazy for,
You know,
We can get a group from the symphony.
Oh, that could be cool.
Wow.
That could be really cool, kind of, so that would be something very different than.
So-
Yeah.
stuff.
It'd be totally different than anything else.
And
All we need is like, you know, a little metal in there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Did you not see the opening ceremony to the Olympics this year? That was diversity.
You know what that costs?
That was, yeah. Talking about inspiration. Inspiration costs nothing, Phil.
I have to say this, because I, you know, jokingly said to Paul, who's the director of the symphony, I said, you know, because we're old, right? The symphony is old. It's old music, right? And so we're trying to get fresh blood. And I said, wouldn't it be incredible if we could do an ELO symphony?
I was thinking like Taylor
So,
Swift.
yeah, it would be, you know, it costs $250,000.
Right?
Get together, right?
Kidding. For ELO?
Yeah, really.
Whoa.
That's why you only hear about those things in New York and Chicago. The budget is.
Cause I do love it when symphonies do like,
I love that too.
Loan off is pretty cheap.
okay.
Why don't we get the symphony to do metal?
Yeah.
Wow.
The symphony to do metal.
Talent will be charging a whole lot more.
That wasn't mine.
Saying.
So you guys, back on the music item, one of the things we brought up in our little subcommittee meeting was maybe even having one of the high school bands come through and parade through
That should be the opening.
in the beginning.
When we were
Yeah.
brainstorming and when I
Yeah.
was like, well, if I had to do it all myself, what would I do? It's like, if you want to choose out, I got like at least 2 local people.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
some of the groups that were performing at the parade yesterday would be awesome. Really brought a lot of benefit.
And that might be a feasible thing, cause like, my sister was the high school band director in Cherville, North Carolina for a while, and they played the grand opening of the Walmart.
All right.
I'm sure they would play, our local was the grand
I
opening,
think
so
that'd
that
be
is.
fun. It'd be a lot of
Yeah.
extra excitement.
So how about this? Yeah, and going back to the Olympics as inspiration. Is that like at some point, just in the middle of the thing, you have the band just come
A
through
flash
the
band.
street and they just just around people and like dancing around people and just, you know. We get somebody to dress up like Lady Gaga.
I think if we really were creative and didn't just do a bandstand, but really created something that.
Like an atmosphere.
Take you around the entire street, so you have little pop-up bands in different places or
Yeah.
parades. I think would make for much more fun and inclusive rather than bands.
That's what we want. We want family inclusive and we want it to be exciting and fun.
Anytime I do marketing, I go to like the high schools and stuff, like they have a bunch of friends, they do the networking for you, the
Yes,
parents.
exactly.
Stuff like that.
Local performers bring local.
Oh, yeah, you get the band.
Yeah, you could have jugglers out there. You could have all kinds of fun.
You have
activities.
some pretty world-class.
Didn't somebody bring up?
Let's excited.
So do we, I'm still new around here. Do we need a motion to adjourn this meeting?
Yeah.
We do.
Second.
Thank you.
Anybody wants some of these? I also have more. Please put them in your businesses.
Oh, well.